Welcome back to Finel AI. In part 1, we explored how our experiences shape financial decisions, why luck and risk matter, the importance of defining enough, the power of compounding, and why staying wealthy is often harder than becoming wealthy. As we continue our journey through the psychology of money, Morgan Housel explores several ideas that challenge traditional thinking about success, wealth, and financial freedom. Let's begin. Chapter 6. Success doesn't require perfection. One of the biggest myths about successful investors is that they are right almost all the time. Morgan Housel says that's simply not true. Some of the world's most successful investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders have made countless mistakes throughout their careers. What separates them isn't perfection. It's the fact that a handful of great decisions can outweigh dozens of ordinary or unsuccessful ones. To explain this idea, the author uses an interesting comparison with baseball. Even the greatest baseball players miss many of their swings. In fact, failing more often than succeeding is completely normal, yet they still become legends because of the few times they connect. Investing works in a very similar way. You don't need every investment to be a winner. You don't need to predict every market movement, and you certainly don't need perfect timing. A few exceptional investments combined with patience and discipline can create extraordinary long-term results. That's why Morgan Housel believes financial success isn't about being right all the time. It's about staying in the game long enough for your best decisions to make the biggest impact. What Finel AI thinks, Morgan Housel argues that financial success does not require perfection. We completely agree. But we believe the bigger problem is that many people never even get started because they are afraid of making mistakes. They spend months or even years researching investments, comparing strategies, watching market predictions, reading articles, waiting for the perfect time to begin. The irony is that trying to avoid every mistake often becomes the biggest mistake of all. Successful investors are not people who never make errors. They are people who make small mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving forward. No investor knows exactly where the market will be next year. No entrepreneur knows exactly how a business will perform. No home buyer knows exactly where real estate prices are headed. Waiting for certainty can become an expensive habit. At Finel AI, we believe progress beats perfection. The goal is not to make every decision correctly. The goal is to make more good decisions than bad ones while avoiding mistakes that permanently damage your financial future. Real life example, the investor who waited too long. Jason wanted to start investing. Before investing his first dollar, he decided he needed to understand everything about the stock market. He spent years reading articles, watching videos, and waiting for the perfect entry point. Meanwhile, his money remained in a savings account. His friend Sarah knew far less about investing. She simply started investing a fixed amount every month into diversified index funds. 10 years later, Sarah had built a meaningful investment portfolio. Jason had more knowledge, but less wealth. His biggest mistake wasn't choosing the wrong investment. It was waiting too long to begin. The Finel AI lesson. Most people overestimate the cost of making small mistakes, and they underestimate the cost of doing nothing. You will make investing mistakes. You will make career mistakes. You will make business mistakes. Everyone does. The people who succeed are not the people who avoid every error. They are the people who avoid catastrophic errors and continue moving forward. Because perfection is not required. Progress is. You don't need to be right every time. You simply need to keep moving in the right direction. Now that we've seen why perfection isn't necessary for financial success, Morgan Housel asks an even deeper question. Why do we actually want money in the first place? Chapter 7. The true purpose of money. Why do we actually want money? Most people would probably answer with things like a bigger house, a luxury car, nice vacations, or financial security. But Morgan Housel believes the real answer goes much deeper. According to the author, the greatest benefit of money isn't what it can buy. It's the freedom it creates. Money gives you control over your time. It allows you to decide how you spend your day. It gives you the freedom to choose meaningful work instead of work you simply have to do. It gives you the flexibility to spend more time with family, pursue your passions, or simply say no when something doesn't align with your values. In other words, money creates options, and having options is one of the greatest forms of wealth. Morgan Housel argues that this kind of freedom is far more valuable than any luxury purchase, because once you have control over your time, you also have greater control over your life. That's why financial success shouldn't be measured only by how much you earn or how many possessions you own. It should also be measured by your flexibility, your independence, and your peace of mind. What Finel AI thinks, Morgan Housel argues that the highest value of money is freedom. We completely agree. But we believe many people never experience this freedom because they focus on accumulating money without defining what they actually want money to do for them. Money itself has no value. It's simply a tool. Its value comes from what it allows you to do. Unfortunately, many people spend decades chasing higher incomes while sacrificing the very things they hoped money would eventually provide. They work longer hours, delay vacations, miss family events, ignore their health, and tell themselves they'll enjoy life later. Sometimes, later never comes. At Finel AI, we believe money is most valuable when it gives you control over your life. It's to maximize your freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time. Freedom to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. Freedom to pursue meaningful work. Freedom to support your family. And freedom to live according to your own values. The wealthiest person is not necessarily the one with the biggest bank account. Often, it's the person who has the greatest control over their time. Real life example. The high-income professional with no freedom. Ryan earned more than $250,000 a year in a demanding corporate role. From the outside, he appeared very successful. He drove a luxury vehicle, owned a large home, and earned more than most people around him. But his lifestyle came with a cost. Long working hours, constant stress, very little time with family, and financial commitments that required him to keep working at the same pace. Despite his high income, Ryan felt trapped. He had money, but he had very little freedom. The Finel AI lesson. Before setting your next financial goal, ask yourself one simple question. What do I actually want money to help me do? The answer may not be a bigger house, a newer car, or a larger investment portfolio. It may be more time with your family, less stress, greater flexibility, or the ability to do work that truly matters to you. At Finel AI, we believe money is most valuable when it gives you control over your life, because the ultimate purpose of wealth is not consumption, it's freedom. Money is valuable because it buys choices, and choices create freedom. Now that we've explored why we really want money, Morgan Housel shifts the conversation to another fascinating idea. Why do so many people spend money trying to impress others? Chapter 8. The Illusion of Status. Have you ever seen someone driving a luxury car and thought, that must be nice? Morgan Housel says something fascinating happens in that moment. Most of us assume that expensive possessions make other people admire us. But according to the author, that's rarely what actually happens. When you see someone driving a luxury vehicle, you probably aren't thinking about the owner for very long. Instead, you're imagining yourself driving that car. You're thinking about how it would feel if it were yours. The attention goes to the object, not the person. That's why Morgan Housel believes many people misunderstand status. They spend years trying to impress others through visible success, but the admiration they hope to receive is often much smaller than they imagine. People are usually too busy thinking about their own lives, their own goals, and their own financial challenges. This simple insight explains why so many financial mistakes are driven by the desire to impress people who aren't paying nearly as much attention as we think. What Finel AI thinks. Morgan Housel reminds us that status is often an illusion. We take that idea one step further. Many people don't buy expensive things because they truly value them. They buy them because they hope those things will change how other people see them. The problem is that confidence cannot be purchased. It has to be built. A luxury watch might impress someone for a few seconds. A luxury vehicle might attract attention for a few minutes. But financial security gives you confidence every single day. At Finel AI, we believe there's nothing wrong with enjoying the rewards of your hard work. If you genuinely love cars, travel, or fine watches, and you can comfortably afford them, that's your choice. The danger begins when spending is driven by comparison instead of personal values. When your financial decisions are based on someone else's opinion, you're letting other people control your money. Real confidence comes from knowing your finances are strong, not from hoping strangers notice what you own. Real life example, the luxury SUV. Jason received a major promotion and celebrated by buying a luxury SUV. Friends complimented it. Co-workers admired it. For a few weeks, it felt amazing. Then the excitement faded. The monthly payments didn't. The SUV became part of everyday life, but the financial commitment remained for years. Jason realized he hadn't bought lasting happiness. He had bought temporary attention. The Finel AI lesson. Before making any major purchase, ask yourself one simple question. Am I buying this because it genuinely improves my life, or because I hope someone else notices? There is nothing wrong with enjoying success. The problem is chasing approval through spending. At Finel AI, we believe financial confidence comes from what you own, not from what you display. Because the people who matter won't judge you by your possessions. And the people judging your possessions usually aren't thinking about you for very long. Build wealth, not appearances. Because wealth creates freedom. Status creates expenses. Now that we've explored why people chase status, Morgan Housel introduces another powerful idea. What if the wealthiest people are often the ones who don't look wealthy at all? Chapter 9. Wealth is often invisible. If you had to identify the wealthiest person in a room, how would you do it? Would you look for the biggest house, the most expensive car, the designer clothes? Morgan Housel says that's exactly where many people go wrong. According to the author, spending and wealth are often confused, but they are not the same thing. The things we can easily see, luxury homes, expensive cars, designer watches, and lavish vacations, tell us only one thing: someone spent money. They tell us almost nothing about that person's actual wealth. Real wealth is different. It's the money that hasn't been spent. It's the investment portfolio quietly growing over decades. It's the emergency fund that protects you during difficult times. It's the retirement savings that provide financial independence. It's the financial cushion that allows you to sleep peacefully at night. The interesting thing is that none of these are visible. You can see someone's new car. You cannot see their investment account. You can admire a luxury vacation. You cannot see the years of disciplined saving that made it possible, or whether it was financed with debt. Morgan Housel reminds us that the most important parts of wealth are usually hidden from view. That's why appearances can be so misleading. What Finel AI thinks. Morgan Housel says that real wealth is often invisible. We completely agree, but we also believe this changes how we should measure our own financial progress. Many people judge success by asking, what can I afford to buy? A better question is, what am I building? Every dollar you invest, every unnecessary expense you avoid, every month you add to your emergency fund, every debt you pay off. These decisions may never be noticed by anyone else, but they are quietly increasing your financial strength. At Finel AI, we believe your balance sheet is far more important than your lifestyle, your assets, your savings, your investments, your financial resilience. These are the things that determine long-term wealth, not how expensive your lifestyle appears to others. Real wealth grows quietly, and that's perfectly okay. Real life example: 2 families, 2 futures. 2 families earned almost the same household income. One upgraded their lifestyle every time their income increased. A larger home, new vehicles, luxury vacations. The other family increased their investments every time they received a raise. From the outside, the first family looked far more successful. 20 years later, the second family had accumulated enough wealth to retire early. The first family was still working to support the lifestyle they had built. One invested in appearances, the other invested in assets. The Finel AI lesson: it's easy to admire what people spend. It's much harder to appreciate what they choose not to spend. At Finel AI, we believe the strongest financial decisions are often the ones nobody notices. The investment contribution you make every month, the debt you choose not to take, the emergency fund you slowly build, the lifestyle inflation you successfully avoid. These are quiet decisions, but they create lasting wealth. Don't judge your financial progress by what people can see. Judge it by what you're building behind the scenes, because the greatest sign of wealth is rarely visible. It's the freedom and security created by years of disciplined decisions. Spend less energy looking wealthy. Spend more energy becoming financially secure. Now that we've seen what real wealth looks like, Morgan Housel explores another important question. If the future is always uncertain, how should we prepare for it? Chapter 10: The Power of Saving. Why should we save money if we don't even know what we're saving for? Morgan Housel says that's exactly the point. Life is unpredictable. None of us knows what opportunities or challenges the future will bring. A new career opportunity, a business idea, a medical emergency, an economic downturn, or even something wonderful that you never saw coming. The future has a way of surprising all of us. That's why the author encourages people to save, even when they don't have a specific goal in mind. Savings are not just money sitting in a bank account. They represent flexibility. They give you the ability to respond when life changes, whether those changes are good or bad. Because when opportunity arrives, savings allow you to say yes. And when life becomes difficult, savings prevent you from making desperate decisions. Morgan Housel reminds us that saving isn't simply about preparing for emergencies. It's about preparing for uncertainty. What Finel AI thinks. Morgan Housel explains that savings create flexibility. We completely agree, but we'd go one step further. Savings don't just change your finances, they change your behavior. When people have no financial cushion, every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. Every job feels impossible to leave. Every financial decision becomes stressful. But when you have savings, something remarkable happens. You begin making decisions from a position of confidence instead of fear. You can negotiate better, take calculated risks, wait for the right opportunity instead of accepting the first one available, and sleep better at night knowing you have options. At Finel AI, we believe an emergency fund is more than a financial tool. It's emotional security. It's knowing that one unexpected event doesn't have to derail your entire life. Savings buy more than future purchases. They buy peace of mind. Real life example: The unexpected opportunity. Ryan had been saving consistently for several years without any specific goal. Then one day, an opportunity came to buy into a small business with a trusted friend. Because he had cash available, he was able to invest without taking on expensive debt. The business grew successfully over the following years. His savings didn't just protect him, they created an opportunity he never could have predicted. The Finel AI lesson. You don't build savings because you know what's coming. You build savings because you don't. The future will always contain surprises. Some will be exciting, others will be difficult. At Finel AI, we believe every dollar you save is buying future flexibility. It's giving your future self more choices, more confidence, and more resilience. You may never remember the month you built your emergency fund, but you'll never forget the day you needed it. Because savings are far more than money. They are freedom waiting for the moment you'll need it most. Now that we've explored the value of saving for an uncertain future, Morgan Housel introduces another important idea: why being reasonable with money is often more valuable than trying to be perfectly rational. Chapter 11. Be reasonable, not perfect. When it comes to money, many people spend a lot of time searching for the perfect strategy, the perfect investment portfolio, the perfect retirement plan, the perfect time to buy, the perfect time to sell. Morgan Housel believes that's the wrong goal. According to the author, a financial strategy doesn't have to be mathematically perfect. It has to be realistic. Imagine two investment plans. One promises slightly higher returns, but causes you constant stress. You worry every time the market falls. You lose sleep during downturns. And eventually, you panic and sell at the worst possible moment. The other plan may produce slightly lower returns on paper, but it allows you to stay calm, remain invested, and stick with it for decades. Morgan Housel argues that the second strategy is often the better one, because a good financial plan only works if you can actually follow it. The best investment strategy isn't the one with the highest expected return, it's the one you'll still be following 20 or 30 years from now. What Finel AI thinks. Morgan Housel reminds us that money is personal, and that's why no single financial strategy works for everyone. We completely agree. Too many people copy someone else's investment plan without asking an important question. Can I actually live with this? A strategy that keeps you awake at night is probably not the right strategy for you. Some people are comfortable with market volatility. Others prefer more stability. Neither approach is automatically right or wrong. What matters is choosing a plan that matches your personality, your goals, and your ability to stay disciplined. At Finel AI, we believe consistency beats optimization. A simple investment plan followed for 30 years will usually outperform a sophisticated strategy that you abandon after 6 months. The goal isn't to build the smartest financial plan, it's to build one you'll actually stick to. Real-life example: the investor who couldn't sleep. Ryan invested all of his savings in high-growth technology stocks because they had delivered impressive returns. At first, everything seemed to be going well. Then the market declined sharply. Every day, Ryan checked his portfolio several times. He became anxious, lost sleep, and eventually sold his investments during the downturn. Months later, the market recovered without him. His strategy looked excellent on paper, but emotionally, it wasn't sustainable. The Finel AI lesson. The best financial strategy is not the one that looks the smartest. It's the one you'll still be following years from now. Choose an investment plan you understand, a savings goal you can maintain, and a lifestyle that doesn't depend on perfect market conditions. At Finel AI, we believe your financial plan should give you confidence, not constant anxiety. Because wealth is built through decades of consistent decisions, not a few moments of financial brilliance. Don't chase the perfect plan. Build the plan you'll actually live with. Now that we've seen why a reasonable plan often beats a perfect one, Morgan Housel turns to another important reality. No matter how carefully we plan, the future will always surprise us. Chapter 12. Expect surprises. If history teaches us anything about money, it's this: the biggest events are usually the ones nobody saw coming. Morgan Housel reminds us that unexpected events have shaped financial markets throughout history. Economic recessions, market crashes, technological breakthroughs, global pandemics, political events, new business opportunities. Most of these were not accurately predicted before they happened, yet they changed the lives of millions of people. That's why the author believes trying to predict every surprise is a losing game. Instead, we should accept that uncertainty is part of life. The future will always contain events that no one can fully anticipate. The goal isn't to know what's coming. The goal is to be prepared when it arrives. What Finel AI thinks. Morgan Housel encourages us to stop chasing perfect predictions. We completely agree, but we also believe many people underestimate how often life changes in unexpected ways. A career opportunity may appear when you least expect it. A business may succeed in ways you never imagined, or life may suddenly present challenges you couldn't have planned for. The people who succeed are rarely the ones who predict every event correctly. They're the ones who adapt the fastest. At Finel AI, we believe flexibility is one of the most valuable financial skills you can develop. A flexible financial plan allows you to adjust when circumstances change. It gives you the confidence to respond instead of panic, because uncertainty is not the exception, it's the normal condition of life. Real life example, the market crash. Ryan had spent years trying to predict the next stock market crash. Every headline convinced him to wait a little longer before investing. Then the market suddenly recovered much faster than expected. By waiting for certainty, he missed years of long-term growth. He eventually realized that predicting markets was far more difficult than simply participating in them. The Finel AI lesson. The future will surprise every one of us, not because we're uninformed, but because that's how life works. Some surprises will create new opportunities. Others will test your resilience. You don't need to predict every twist and turn. You simply need to build a financial life that can handle them. At Finel AI, we believe the strongest financial plans are designed for uncertainty, not certainty. Build savings, keep your debt manageable, continue learning, stay adaptable. And remember that flexibility is often a greater advantage than forecasting, because the people who thrive aren't the ones who predict the future. They're the ones who are ready for whatever the future brings. As Morgan Housel continues, he introduces another practical lesson. If surprises are inevitable, then every financial plan needs room for mistakes. Chapter 13. Leave room for error. What do successful engineers, airline pilots, and long-term investors have in common? According to Morgan Housel, they all plan for things to go wrong. Engineers don't build bridges that can hold exactly the expected weight. They build them much stronger. Pilots don't carry just enough fuel to reach their destination. They carry extra fuel in case conditions change. And successful investors often keep cash reserves instead of investing every available dollar. At first, this might seem inefficient, but Morgan Housel says it's actually one of the smartest financial habits you can develop, because life rarely goes exactly according to plan. Unexpected expenses happen, markets decline, jobs change, businesses face challenges, and personal circumstances evolve. The people who survive these situations aren't always the smartest. They're often the ones who prepared for uncertainty before it arrived. That's why the author encourages us to build a margin of safety into our financial lives, not because we expect everything to go wrong, but because we know some things eventually will. What Finel AI thinks. Morgan Housel reminds us that the strongest financial plans include room for mistakes. We completely agree. In fact, we believe one of the biggest financial risks is building a plan that only works when everything goes perfectly. Many people create budgets with no room for unexpected expenses, take on debt assuming their income will always increase, or invest every available dollar without keeping enough cash for emergencies. Those plans may look efficient, but they are also fragile. At Finel AI, we believe resilience is more valuable than optimization. An emergency fund, a diversified investment portfolio, reasonable insurance coverage, manageable debt. These may seem conservative during good times, but they become incredibly valuable when life becomes unpredictable. Financial success isn't just about growing your wealth, it's about protecting it. Real life example, the family with a safety net. Ryan and Jennifer carefully built an emergency fund before upgrading their lifestyle. When Ryan unexpectedly lost his job, they were able to continue paying their bills without relying on credit cards or selling investments. Their financial plan wasn't exciting, but it gave them time to make good decisions instead of desperate ones. The Finel AI lesson. A good financial plan should never depend on perfect conditions. Leave room for unexpected expenses. Leave room for market downturns. Leave room for career changes. Leave room for life. At Finel AI, we believe resilience is one of the greatest financial advantages you can build, because it's impossible to eliminate uncertainty, but it's entirely possible to prepare for it. Growth creates wealth, protection preserves it, and both are essential for long-term financial success. Always leave yourself more room than you think you'll need, because the future has a habit of asking for it. Part 2 conclusion. That brings us to the end of part 2 of our journey through the psychology of money. In these chapters, Morgan Housel reminded us that success doesn't require perfection. The real purpose of money is freedom. Status is often an illusion. Real wealth is usually invisible. Savings create flexibility. A reasonable financial plan is better than a perfect one you'll never follow. The future will always surprise us, and every successful financial plan needs room for error. If there's one lesson that connects all of these ideas, it's this. Building wealth isn't about making one brilliant decision. It's about making consistently good decisions while preparing for an uncertain future. In part 3, We'll explore more of Morgan Housel's timeless lessons, including long-term thinking, adapting to change, and developing an even healthier relationship with money. If you found this discussion valuable, we'd love for you to subscribe to Finel AI and join us for the final part of this series. Until then, remember this: money is not just about numbers, it's about behavior, it's about choices, and ultimately, it's about creating the freedom to live life on your own terms. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in part 3.